him out. 2 balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. It's his way back. Look him up. Chris Taylor.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome in. This is DodgerHeads presented by DodgerBlue.com on the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Scott Geirman, senior staff writer, Dodger Blue. I'm here with my good buddy, Blake Williams, managing editor. How we doing, man?
Pretty good. It's been pretty quiet so far. For this last week or two now, it's just been all Teoscar news. So gonna try and stretch the show out a little bit here with not the same repetitive stuff that we've kind of been stuck in for a little bit here, but we got some special guests here for tonight, and we'll have a good show still.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the slate that we've got. Chat, welcome in. Hello. We'll get to everybody in there. It's good to see there's some regulars, some new people in here. Roy, Eden, what's up, guys? Blake and I are very fortunate to be here. Thanks for tuning in to Dodger Heads. Tonight is going to be based on a lot of chatter. It's going to be based on a lot of not hypothetical stuff, but trying to fit the pieces, because there's a lot of moving parts that could go and a lot of different scenarios that can trigger some stuff one way or another. And we've got a couple different viewpoints tonight. And here, Timmy says W's in the chat for Blake. Absolutely. W's for Blake, as always. I'm loving the hat, by the way, man. Kind of just give me a quick teaser here, Mr. Williams. What is this kind of quiet period been for you? And what does it signal with the Dodgers front office?
Yeah, it seems like it's just been constant rumors about Teoscar Hernandez, what kind of deal he wants, what he's holding out on, what teams are interested, maybe some potential fallback options for the Dodgers. It's still a general belief that he's going to come back, but until it's actually official and he signed the contract, you never know what's going to happen. So just really focused on all those rumors, and then some more minor ones about Tanner Scott still has some interest around there, and nothing too major. Just we're kind of in the quiet period right now before the holidays, and then it should kick up back after the holidays. So hopefully we get some more news here pretty soon.
Yeah, it feels like, there always is essentially this dead period here the closer we get towards, Christmas, holiday times, the new year, and then things start to pick back up once that international signing period window opens. And then you start to get to the point where you look around the league and you look around the free agency pool and you wonder, just like we're wondering with Teoscar Hernandez, are some of these guys, is it taking too long? Are some of these, these scenarios, do you have to pivot? Do you have to go one way or another? We're going to get into it in a bit. But Blake, we're going to welcome in our guests. Is that all right with you, man?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. We've got 2 guests here, some very special guests from the Sick Podcast Network. They're on Dodger Zone. This is Beau Benson and Ryan Burschinger, 2 really good friends of ours, and we're really excited for them to be here. Chat, welcome them in. They do terrific work over there, so we're going to link all their stuff, all their socials there. We're really excited about it. A quad box here. BB, Mr. Beau Benson, and Ryan, kind of introduce yourselves, say what's up to the chat. This is our Thursday group. This is the rowdiest group we've got, guys.
Oh, thank God. What up,
Good.
chat?
Good. We are meant for the rowdy crowd.
Yeah.
That's you made the right call. Scott, I know you said at the beginning, not much going on, so we got to stretch things out. I don't think Beau and I have ever hit the under in terms of shows that we said, we'll keep this for 25, 30 minutes. No, we fly past that. So I hope you're all ready to not, because we'll take this a good 3-4 hours. Why not? Oh, okay.
See.
Y'all disappeared on me for a second. So
the deep state does not want this to happen.
We're back.
Just Scott? Yeah, okay. We're good.
This is a DDoS attack from the servers of the San Diego Padres.
Yeah.
This meeting is too powerful.
We're good?
Targeted.
I think we're good.
Okay, we're good. All right. Well, Blake, for our guests, we've got them. BB, Ryan.
Right.
I want to start with BB, though. Where your thoughts are at in this current dead period here. Walk me through where your mind is with the moves that they have made, the Dodgers have made so far leading up to this point, without getting too much into, this dead period and how uneasy that might make you feel. Content with the Dodgers offseason so far? And then Ryan, follow that up.
I think you have to be, right? To win the World Series the way they did and then make the first big splash in signing Blake Snell, they're not messing around anymore. Not that they have before, but It's good. It's fine. I wake up every morning. I say where Teoscar, and then I go about my day. So it's pretty chill, to be honest with you. Can't complain. They won the World Series, man.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. It's this offseason is just such house money. Once you win a World Series, it's like everything's cruising, and it just made the fact that they started it off by signing Blake Snell just that much funnier. Like we obviously the Dodgers needed to address starting pitching. They still do. And there was definitely a void in terms of a left-handed starter. So they went out and just got the best one available before anyone did anything. And that's hilarious. That's objectively hilarious. So it is just such a wonderful time to be a Dodger fan. Yeah, there's still some things that are out there lingering right now. But already it's just been such a great offseason.
Yeah, Blake, anything to add on that? It's kind of, it took me not by surprise. We welcome in Ryan Burschinger and Beau Benson from the Sick Podcast Network. They're on the Dodger Zone. Welcome in, guys. But it took me by surprise just a slight bit that the Dodgers, with the understanding that, yeah, they were going to dip their toes into the Juan Soto stuff. They had, negotiations to continue to work out with Teoscar Hernandez there. They got ahead of the market with Blake Snell. They didn't let it get deep into it. Blake Snell was very, upfront that he was going to sign early. He wanted to sign fast. And in recent days, we've heard even, Logan Webb from the San Francisco Giants talk about how he kept in touch with Blake Snell. In the conversations he had with him, he goes, he signed quick. Like that was a very fast offseason for him. And I think for me, from what I've seen with the Dodgers, they like to see how the market kind of plays out. And, it really puts a light on the Dodgers. Were very aggressive. They wanted to attack and build on a World Series roster. Blake Snell wanted to join a contender with no better team than Los Angeles Dodgers. So that part of the offseason got this ball rolling. And I think it's because we're on that high. And it's following up the Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Tyler Glasnow offseason of last year. They said they're going, unlike the Red Sox, pedal to the metal here and keeping the foot on the gas. And now the Dodgers are having this kind of this low period. We're waiting on kind of one player, two players here. Blake, any surprises from you so far from the Dodgers? They're doing exactly what they said.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I kind of think they followed the plan we've kind of laid out and talked about all offseason. It was pretty clear they were going to be aggressive trying to add a top of the rotation starting pitcher, which I think it was a little more greed than need. A lot of people talked about it being like they need to go add a top line starting pitcher, but they have Tyler Glasnow and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and pretty much every team in baseball would love to have that pair leading their rotation. So a little greedy there, and I like that they went and did that. They're not like sitting back because they won the World Series. They're still being aggressive, targeting elite key players who can help them win another World Series. We've seen a lot of times where franchises, they win and then they trade pieces away. They sit back. They don't spend much. They don't do a whole lot of anything. Like the Texas Rangers just did that and then missed the postseason. The Dodgers don't want that to happen. They're out there spending. They're trying to upgrade. They didn't get Juan Soto, but they made a pretty aggressive offer trying to get him. They're still in on Teoscar Hernandez, possibly Tanner Scott. Devin Williams thought he was going to be a Dodger because they were pretty deep in negotiations there. Like, it's pretty clear that they want to keep upgrading this team and try and build a dynasty and just keep winning more World Series.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's got me itching. It's got me itching to, get into the biggest topic here, and kind of what it feels. There is some repetitiveness to it, but it's really the biggest talk of the current Dodgers roster and where we're currently at, where it does feel like we can go around the room here. Do we feel like this is at kind of not a slippery slope, but like a tipping point where the contingency plans have to come into play here? We're getting to this dead period where, the calendar turns to 2025, the first of the year here. Ryan, do you feel like we're getting a little bit to the point where we've got to start looking at some contingency plans here for the outfield?
It's starting to feel that way, just because Teoscar is still lingering like that. But I think the thing that does help the Dodgers is that other teams have started to address the outfield as well and leaving Teoscar alone, like the Yankees getting Cody Bellinger. You had who the Phillies they got Max Kepler.
Yeah.
But, other teams have started to move on outfielders, and it's not been Teoscar. And it also kind of takes away the more logical landing spots for him. Obviously, Boston is still a very logical landing spot for him. But if Teoscar is really coming down to just a dollar thing, that feels weird. I don't know. And hopefully you guys have some more insight on that. I don't know how much I buy it just being kind of a matter of a few $1 million as to why Teoscar is not signed yet. But yeah, I think they've at least given themselves kind of a contingency plan with Michael Conforto, but only in the sense that he's also an outfielder. Obviously, he's not a right-handed bat, and maybe the right-handed bat contingency plan is not an outfielder, which might be something we talk about coming up next. But yeah, I think it's smart for them to kind of explore what the contingency plans could be there, but Teoscar should be plan A, just given the fact that all the other contingency plans are really not as desirable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, BB, did follow this up here, man? Do you have any names in mind? With looking around the free agency market so far, Marcana, Santander, I know qualifying offer attached there. Who do you think the Dodgers, is there another name out there that you would feel adequately fills the role? And chat, we get it. I get it. Blake Blake's okay with certain aspects of letting Teoscar go, and I totally understand his view. He'll dive into that. He always does. He'll take the bait. But when it comes to looking around the free agency pool, I don't feel comfortable with anybody. I don't. I really don't. For the age, for the contract, for what they're providing, I'm not okay if the Dodgers go out and just sign some, 1-year flyer. There's not another one out there that I'd be okay with. That guy was Tyler O'Neill, and he signed with the Orioles on a steal of a contract. So that next 1A is there. BB, do you have anybody out there in mind that you can sell us on?
Not free agency. I think you're totally right, dude. With anybody, especially with a qualifying offer attached, like Santander, they're not signing him with the QO attached to him. They're just not going to do that. So for whatever reason, if they have to move off Teoscar, then I think it's going to be trade, and then maybe you start looking at Robert or Suzuki from the Cubs. But they're going to sign Teoscar. It's going to happen. We saw it last year too, right? Like, people don't want to believe that like insiders know things. Like, they don't want to believe the media, but everybody last year was like, yeah, Ohtani's going to be a Dodger. Like, that's just the sense. And you ask anybody in the media this year, yeah, Teoscar's going to be a Dodger. We don't know what the holdup is, but like, that's just the general sense that everybody gets. He's going to be a Dodger. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. He can say that he's fine playing in Boston, but he doesn't want to leave. And I don't think the Dodgers want him to leave. It's just a matter of finding the middle ground there.
Blake, I want you to give chat. I know that everybody's waiting for Blake's the voice of region around here, Ryan and BB. So I want Blake to kind of lay it down, man. Where is that line where the Dodgers, it's waiting too long? And what do they do if they have to pivot? Talk to me through that.
Yeah, so the reports are Teoscar wants a 3-year deal for around 22 to 24 million, which totally fair AAV there. I think the holdup with the Dodgers is definitely on the year's end of things. Like I've mentioned a lot on this show, hitters like Teoscar don't age well. You can already make a case he's the worst defensive free agent outfielder available, and you can't move him to DH. You have Ohtani there, so you're sticking with Teoscar in the outfield for the next X amount of years that you end up signing him, whether it's 2, 3, 4. So I was concerned about giving him a 4th year. But it seems like, because that was the expectation, like it seemed like he was going to get a 3-year deal. It seems like every team in baseball now is sitting on, we're only giving you 2 years. And I think that's fair for a player like him. Power hitters with high strikeout rates and low walk rates don't tend to age well. There's a very long list of hitters who have received contracts into their late 30s that end up just falling off a cliff pretty quickly, even if they were good the year before. Like, both the Chris Davises always come to mind for me in that type of player. Mm-hmm. And like, the Dodgers have to be concerned about that. You're not paying him for what he did last year or the years prior. You're paying him for the projections of what you think he's going to do for the next 2 or 3 years. And if they're saying like 2 years is the hard line, considering the defense and the risk of your bat, then I think I trust the front office enough to go with that and stay with that. If they're not willing to go a 3rd year, I'm fine with letting him walk. Like, I would like him back, but I would rather do 2 years, 50 million than like 3 years, 60 or 70 million, even though the AAV is going to be higher. And I'm sure that's kind of where the Dodgers are at. They probably want to mix in some deferrals. There's been some reports that Teoscar won't want those deferrals. So it's kind of just how free agency goes. Players and teams are going to keep negotiating, and things are going to like come up, and they're going to be far apart on things. And Teoscar might say, well, I'll take deferrals if you go a 3rd year. The Dodgers will make their counter with stuff like that. But I still think Teoscar is going to be back. Like Beau said, insiders, they know all these things. Like, pretty much everyone expects Teoscar to be back. So I'm confident he will be back. But if they don't get him back, I think Andy Pajes might be like the first man up. and then you can throw in Dalton Rushing with the type of platoon there. Wouldn't be totally shocked if they went the trade market, like with Luis Robert or someone we're not expecting, but I really think Teoscar does come back, and that's ultimately where they go.
I agree, man. You know me. I told you that it's going to be doomsday for me if they don't get this done. But I really want to address this here. John puts this up. He says, Teoscar was all hot air when he said he wanted to be a Dodger, but unwilling to be a team player and defer some of his contract. You'd be hard pressed to find another person, in the position that we are, that's as pro player as I am. This is Teoscar Hernandez's biggest shot to cash in on a free agent deal after having arguably the best year of his career. It's going to be in a free agent market for outfielders that it's Juan Soto and then Teoscar Hernandez, a little bit on that, and then the rest. So this is Teoscar's shot, and he took deferred money, on a 1-year deal, go to the Dodgers, terrific scenario. We all know how that goes. But he's doing, and his agency is doing everything they can to get as much upfront present day value as possible. Just like Blake said, if they're going to add on an extra year and that's when deferrals kick in, then we get into a possibility thing. And there might be some posturing on both sides, and that might be what the holdup is here. I think that's what the holdup is here. It has everything to do with years. Money is not the thing because the Dodgers are just throwing deferral money out like no tomorrow. So, Ryan, Blake, I think you guys, speak to this. The holdup has everything to do with the years attached to the contract. We can just lay that out right now.
I wouldn't say everything. The Dodgers are going to give like multiple different offers saying like, here's this offer, here's this one. You can kind of pick the one you like and we negotiate from there, or you end up taking one of them. Like, I don't think it's any one specific thing. I know someone else in the chat said it's about deferrals and not years. Like, the Dodgers are going to say, if you want the 3rd year, we're taking deferrals in it. If you don't want deferrals, it's going to be a 2-year deal. And Teoscar is going to negotiate back and say, well, I want no deferrals in 3 years because he has every right to. That's what free agency is for. It's for negotiating the contract you want and to go to the team you want. So he has every right to do that. Like, I'm going to be pro player and support them doing that. Not really anything against Teoscar or the Dodgers. It's a business for both sides. They're employees of the team, and the team wants to keep their profit levels as high as possible. That's just how the business side of things work. So they're going to keep negotiating. I think they're going to agree at some point, probably after the holidays, maybe. I think we're going to get in a pretty dead period here of news for the next probably week or something, but I would not be surprised if like right after the holidays, we hear Teoscar and the Dodgers have agreed and figured it out.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm going to come to you in a second here. But, everybody, too, thanks for tuning in. Dodger Blue, DodgerHeads, and the Medium Large Sports Network. Ryan, any strong feelings towards kind of this posturing here? Because, to what you said, you and BB said about that the teams with the best chance to win, that's what Teoscar wants to do. He got that taste. We saw the emotional response and the emotional speech at Dodger Stadium on the World Series celebration there. And there is everything to what he said about playing October baseball, playing in those big clutch moments. It meant everything to him, similar to what Walker Buehler does. It's all of it. So, for what Teoscar said, those opportunities are starting to dry up around the league. The Yankees could have been most aggressive to what you said about the Boston Red Sox there. How much are they going to compete, going into late October? I think Teoscar is looking for the best of both worlds, getting paid, getting an opportunity to play down the stretch here. But we've seen some wacky predictions as far as like the Cincinnati Reds looking to sign him, some crazy articles there, basketball writers trying to write baseball stuff, blah, blah, blah. But are you looking, is there anything, are those opportunities really drying up to the point where this is the Dodgers and Teoscar and finding a middle ground for the both of them?
I think that the opportunities are drying up a bit, but at the same time, I think he's fully aware that he's got a ton of leverage. Because you look at what has happened with the outfield market across the league. The second that Soto signed, Teoscar, in essence, became the best free agent outfielder available. I'm sure like guys were moved on the trade market, but still, in terms of what Teoscar can do in the middle of the lineup, Santander is a great bat. I like his bat a lot, but it's the same sort of questions with the defensive ability that I would have with Santander. Side of him, like Teoscar does have the best bat available right now. And so I think that him and his team, all right, let's pump the brakes here a bit. Like obviously the desire to go back to the Dodgers is there, but at the same time you can't ignore the fact that he's got the leverage. So and there's no rush. Like it's not even Christmas yet. Like there's still time. Like he can still take his time a bit and kind of let a team like the Dodgers still feel a little desperate there. But also obviously I think the reunion, he wants it and the Dodgers want it, so it should happen. I don't know how much of that you guys heard, but I swear it was some of the best stuff I've ever said.
We got
I
it.
promise you.
No, yeah, no, dude, that's fine. John Henry and the Fenway Sports Group, I don't think they're going to wake up on Christmas morning and be like, we have to go 5 years for Teoscar Hernandez. That's the way to do it. Like, he's not getting visited by the ghost of Christmas past to tell him he has to do that. Like, the offers that are out there for Teoscar are probably what he's going to get. So, it's going to get done. It's going to get done. It's eventually going to get done. And if it doesn't, then the Dodgers will move on and they'll find somebody else like they always do. But I've never felt as comfortable as in saying that a guy's going to be back as a free agent than I do with Teoscar.
That's funny you say that because, Blake can go through all his text messages about me blowing him up about Teoscar Hernandez all year long. Just ridiculous stuff all year. My Teoscar, World Series autograph photo is finally shipped. It'll be here before Christmas, so I'm excited about that. But I've never seen a player universally loved, absolutely adored by the fans, be open about wanting to re-sign. But I see people in chat talking about he was vocal about wanting to return and why didn't they get the deal done before the end of the regular season? Blake can tell every angle to why that doesn't happen a lot of the time. Like, just lay that out. Why does that not happen more than people think it should?
I mean, I think the main driving force here with Teoscar is there was a pretty good free agent available who the Dodgers were one of the 5 finalists in on and intended to at least make a play for him. I think the questions about Teoscar's defense and bat have also come up. Like, it also takes 2 sides to make a deal. Like, the player could be open to it and the Dodgers say, we're going to hold off at this moment. The Dodgers could try and say, we're going to try and make a deal. And the player could say, let's hold off. We don't know what, if anything, like Teoscar had that situation come up. I believe Teoscar said the Dodgers didn't approach him during the season about an extension. So I think they were really serious about trying to get Juan Soto, making a push for him. I think they might have been a little lower on their offer and didn't intend to go to $700 million like the Mets and Yankees did and Blue Jays, but like they still made a $600 million offer to Soto. It's a pretty significant deal. So it shows they were at least pretty seriously interested about getting him. So they wanted to explore that and see. And if you sign Teoscar, you're kind of locked in with him and don't have a shot to keep your options open. We know Andrew Friedman loves being opportunistic and keeping all the options open on things they can do. So I don't think they're going to lose Teoscar. Like you said, if it was going to happen, it probably would have happened already. Like, a lot of the market has started to shift to the second tier guys like Kepler signing, Bellinger getting traded, Tyler O'Neill signing. It's just like, I don't think the Red Sox are really going to, like Beau said, wake up and say, we need to go get Teoscar at this moment. They probably would have done that already. So it seems like just Teoscar kind of holding out, seeing if he can get a little more from the Dodgers. And then at some point, I'm pretty confident it'll happen.
The Red Sox are really interesting just because, Blake, we've talked about how they looked like that, an organization primed to sign one of the front end starting pitchers. But if they didn't want to dip themselves into that, go out, trade for Garrett Crochet, made all the sense in the world. And then going out and paying Teoscar Hernandez. Is that core for the Red Sox in a position where, you're 2 years away? By that time, Teoscar Hernandez is going to be from what you say and a lot of people and what Major League Baseball teams are projecting, that contract for what you're going to be paying him for the next few years is going to be over with. So it really comes down to the teams that are projected to maximize his production over the next couple of years here. So that's why I look at those 2-year deals, possibly with a third year. If that's really where the holdup is, it's looking at the next 2 years. Who's primed to do that? Is a team just trying to fill in a spot? Is that where these random markets come in like the Reds? Anybody feels strongly about this? We're having some trouble tonight.
I'm telling you.
We're having some trouble. Chat. We're sorry about this.
It's the Gremlins.
Shout out to StreamYard, man. We'll do the best we can on here. But
I heard you say the Reds, and I do not think that Teoscar Hernandez, after winning a World Series, is going to be interested in signing with a team like the Reds, who are not particularly close to winning a playoff series, I think, let alone a World Series. So I don't know if he's going to go there. So yeah, but like his options are just like, what are your options, Teoscar? Really? Like, what are your options?
BC, sorry, man. Yeah, I got you, man. It's nothing but loading signs all over the place. But
Sweet.
yeah, we don't know what's going on. So we're just gonna keep it rolling. I'm gonna bookmark that one. I like that. It's getting to the point. I think so. I think it's the Dodgers and Teoscar Hernandez. And does one side get to the point where, they just feel they have to move on? They've got to go in that opposite direction, which is why it's fair to start entertaining this next set of possibilities. It's fair to start doing this. And I think people should have already been doing this. Are the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays added on, Andres Jimenez. He's got another $100 million coming over the next 5 years. Or is Toronto a place for him? So I think it's between the Dodgers, Teoscar Hernandez, and let's see where they work that out there. And if we get to that point, then let's go talk about the trade market. Let's go talk there. Is there a platoon that you can set up that you feel comfortable with? And we'll get into the next part of the show here in a little bit, and then get to the point, there's players in house. Does it come at different positions where you can kind of supplement that offense there and go a different route? Wrap up the Teoscar stuff for me. Whoever really has something to, fill us up. Blake, Ryan.
Yeah. I'll say, I think it's important to remember that like the contract years here are really important. When Chris Taylor signed his 5-year, I think it was, deal, every fan was happy about that, loving it. No one had any complaints about it. Everyone said it was a great deal for both sides and happy Chris Taylor is going to be around. And now, like, he had 2 years left last year, and everyone was saying they need to get rid of him. He's a disaster. Can't have him on the roster. Can't have him playing. So, like, if that kind of thing happens with Teoscar, which a lot of projection systems would probably bet on that happening just due to his skill set and age, it's really easy to say right now, like, oh yeah, do 4 or 5 years, just get it done. But in a year or two, you might be saying, well, why did they make this deal? It's a disaster. It should have been 1 or 2 years. And the Dodgers are aware of all this stuff, and they're focused on trying to build the best roster they can for as long as they can. And they don't want to have to be like held back by having Teoscar's contract on the books in 2 or 3 years when maybe another potential free agent's out there that they really want. And they're saying, well, we don't have this in our budget at this moment to get him because Teoscar's on the roster, or we don't have the roster space to add this player or acquire him because we have to hold on to Teoscar and we're not just going to cut him, and no team wants to trade for him. So there's always all these other factors that work in where it's easy to say right now you really want the player for whatever he's asking for, but down the line you might be ending up regretting that deal pretty easily.
No. Yeah, you got to
tosses it up. Go ahead.
You got to keep your options open for 2035 when Fernando Tatis Jr. is an unrestricted free agent at the age of 37. So
Richard tosses this up. He says, losing Teoscar over 1 year, he'll be very angry. Anybody going to be very angry over the 1 year?
Perturbed. Very angry is that's a strong descriptor.
Yeah. But, no, I mean, I would definitely be annoyed. I think I have this kind of haze over all of the perceptions of what the Dodgers do this offseason just because of the World Series. And it goes back to a good point that I saw you make, Scott, a while back, was beware the danger of just running it back once you win a title. I mean, obviously, like, the Dodgers are in better position than other teams have when they've tried to run it back, when the Giants kept running it back and then the Brandons were there for a decade. But the Dodgers aren't in that sort of scenario. But at the same time, though, Teoscar is such a productive middle-of-the-order bat that even if we have 1 year where that production does decline pretty heavily, I'd still be okay with it because I would still just be like, yeah, they won the World Series and he helped a lot, so I'm good with it. Let's let him hang out for another year. That's fine.
The one thing I don't want to see if they do not re-sign Teoscar is people getting mad at Andrew Friedman. Like the days of slandering this front office is over. That's over. You can't do it anymore. You're done with that. No more. Whatever they do is fine. If they miss out on Teoscar and they're like, yeah, we're going to sign Albert Pujols to play in the outfield, I'll be like, all right, fine. Let's see what he does. I can't doubt you anymore, Andrew. Like, what? Okay, sure.
We chat. You guys are on fire tonight with a couple of these things here. Rich, thanks for the super chat, man. Always appreciate you in here. It's good to see you tonight. Mike brings this up. And Blake, I really want you to speak to this here. He says the Dodgers front office might be looking at Will Smith's decline and factoring in the risk with Teoscar slowing down. He looked physically tight, much like JD Martinez 2 years ago. Just speak to the first part here in terms of looking around the rest of the roster. Does that impact giving a longer contract to Teoscar? Does any of that factor in here? Are you worried about the rest of the roster with Will Smith here? You can speak to that. You don't have to just stick on Teoscar here.
I don't think so. I think I'm pretty content with the rest of the roster. Like, albeit Gavin Lux and stuff could be upgraded here and there, but every team's going to have that issue at some point. Like, you're not running out a team of superstars and all-stars at every single position. So,
yeah.
Overall, Will Smith is such an interesting case because every year he starts out as like the best catcher in baseball, and then in the second half completely forgets how to hit. And it's been a continuous cycle with him. So I'm not sure like it's necessarily a decline with him, and maybe more of an issue with fatigue or the injuries he's dealt with in the past and stuff. And maybe you can bring up Dalton Rushing to kind of platoon with him and help offset some of that. So I don't think like there's any consideration into Will Smith's bat as affecting Teoscar or anything. I think they're just looking at Teoscar in a vacuum and saying like, this is what we project from you. This is what we're willing to pay. If you want it, great. We can try and work out some of the more minor details and bring you back. If you don't want it, go find a better offer somewhere else, and we wish you the best. But if you don't find that offer, we're welcome to bringing you back still. And I think they're just kind of holding out and waiting on that. I think Teoscar knows the Dodgers are going to be there waiting for him. He doesn't have to like sign immediately because he's going to miss out on an offer from them. And if he doesn't have an offer he likes from the Red Sox or someone else already, he's not going to like get that necessarily. So it's just, I think it makes sense for him to wait and see if another team does become a little more desperate. Then maybe he can go back to the Dodgers and say, are you willing to do this? But if he doesn't have any contract offers he likes at this moment, he's not going to like lose out on coming back to the Dodgers because he held out for another week or two.
Yeah. All right. This is the one where I could absolutely take this, but Mr. Classic, it's good to have you in here, man. Thanks for bringing this up. And then I'll piggyback into the other free agent stuff. I see people bringing up Anthony Santander here, and I understand he's a switch hitter, but it's not just stats for Teoscar Hernandez. It really isn't. 100%. It's what he, like, there's a lot of, you could just sell me on what he does offensively and what he can do on the baseball field. But it's not just stats. Ryan, where are you at with this? BB, follow it up, buddy.
Yeah, I agree, because that's as Richard mentioned. If it's just 1 year for Teo, he'll be angry, and this is the root of it. If Teo gets a 3-year deal and in that third year he's just not good, I'm just gonna be like, whatever. I will remember the everything he did for this championship run. That's going to for the rest of his time as a Dodger, that's going to guide everything with it. So, and at the same time, he does absolutely bring that intangible in terms of just his personality, in the way that people take to him, and the way that the fans love him. Like, that is super important. So yeah, that's, bring him on back. Again, if the production declines hard in that last year, and sometimes it's just kind of him sitting down in left field when the ball's hit to him, fine, whatever. I'll take it. As long as we get Teo back, that's fine by me.
Yeah. I mean, Blake, I think, can attest to this as we were at the stadium for the celebration. Teoscar probably got like the biggest pop for everybody to not name Clayton Kershaw. Like, the fan base loves the guy. He clearly loves the fans. But like, again, and then that's just more why I think he's going to be back. Like, he's been around, he's been in Toronto and he's been in Seattle, but like, sometimes guys just find homes, right? Like, Justin Turner was a Met, got non-tendered, came here, and it's just, I think Justin Turner is probably the most important Dodger of the last 10 years in terms of what he did in changing the culture here. So yeah, he'll be back. He means a lot to the city. He was huge. We talk about it on our own show, like, all the time. Like, Teoscar is the kind of guy that wins World Series MVP. And he probably would have if Freddie Freeman didn't go absolutely nuclear in that series. So like, he'll be back. He means a lot. It's just, we're bored. That's what really what it is. We're bored. We're bored. We need to talk about something, but he will be back. I'll say it here. And if I'm wrong, sorry, I've been wrong a lot, you guys.
You'll never be back. You'll never be back on the Thursday night shows with Scott and Blake. But shout out to everybody tuning in on Twitter, YouTube, I think Facebook. We're having some issues there, but thanks for everybody for tuning in. This is the next question. The money that the Dodgers are looking to allocate towards paying Teoscar Hernandez. Chat, I want you to comment on this, yes or no. And I'm going to go around the room here. If the Dodgers don't hand that money to Teoscar Hernandez, the deal doesn't get done, do you feel they need to go out and pay somebody else to fill that spot?
Like, Are we including trade in this too, or just
No, just a free agent contract.
No.
Do you have to go out and do that? Yes or no? Blake?
No.
BB?
No.
Nope. Ryan?
No, I mean, if they do sign anybody, it wouldn't be somebody who warrants that level of money anyway. So I figure that if they don't use that money on Teo, it will probably be used in multiple packages. So yeah, no.
That's my main thing with that is the, it's a follow-up to like, it's not just stats. Yes. If Teoscar comes back on a 2-year contract, you get the best of both worlds. You get on-field production there. You get, leadership in the clubhouse. A lot of the players, focused on Teoscar Hernandez, as someone that they highlighted. We understand. Yeah, BMR says he's not a superstar, but he's going to get paid an AAV that puts him up in the upper echelon of these outfielders here. So I think that for what he brings, you squeeze as much juice as you can out of the 2 years. So you have to pay a third and you deal with it. But there's not a need on the roster that you have to go out and say, I'm going to go give Anthony Santander 5 years or whatever he's projected, 588 on Spot Track. That's not a move they have to make. That feels like a move that a team with a desperate need to fill an outfield spot, you go put it to someone who you don't love, you like, and that's where you get yourself into trouble. And I just don't see the Dodgers making that type of move. A trade's a different story, a completely different story. That's a lot of cost-controlled contracts out there, which is where we get into a super chat here from Zenji. Anthony Santander and Luis Robert both hit right. Santander is a switch hitter, but Blake, talk about Luis Robert here. Is that someone on the trade route who we know is now available? He's been available, but is this someone the Dodgers would seriously consider through a trade?
I think so. I think the Dodgers would definitely try and fill the Teoscar role in a trade. I don't think there's any free agents that really make sense for them. I like Santander as a player, but I don't think they're going to be willing to give him the contract if they're not willing to do like 3 years for Teoscar. So I'd kind of rule him out. But Luis Robert is an interesting one. I could definitely see that happening. He's a very high risk, high reward type player. The problem with him is it's a lot of potential and a lot of injury problems, but we haven't always seen those that potential come together and him stay healthy for an extended period of time. So it seems like a very Dodgery type play there, but it seems like the White Sox are also pretty unrealistic about their asking price. I think Seiya Suzuki makes a ton of sense. I think you could even make a case for him that he makes more sense than Teoscar for the roster, but that's a whole nother discussion that it's probably another 30 minutes talking about, if not more. But I mean, there's other good players out there. Teoscar is nice to have back. I know the clubhouse stuff and is valuable and everyone loves that and loves him as a person, but they've moved on from guys who have been important in the clubhouse in the past. AJ Ellis was a big one. Justin Turner was a big one. It's always happened where guys come and go that are important clubhouse guys, but the clubhouse still stays fine. And I think that starts with Dave Roberts. That's the point of employing him. You're going to have great clubhouse culture when you have him. So I think you can live without having that great clubhouse aspect of things. When they let Kike walk, they were still good after that. And then he came back and it was another addition, but good clubhouse guys come and go all the time. It really is just about the stuff on the field, and that clubhouse stuff is a bonus into it. But I think they want him back. They're going to get him back. I'll still say that. I'll go on record in saying he's going to be back.
Yeah, welcome.
But if he's not back, you have other options out there that can work and fill in.
I would like to retract my previous statement saying that I've never felt more comfortable about someone re-signing with the Dodgers. I feel more comfortable about Kike Hernandez re-signing with the Dodgers than I do Teoscar, because he's practically out there telling everybody, yeah, I'm just waiting for them to sign whoever they're going to sign and I'm going to re-sign. So he's going to be back too. So Kike for sure. Teoscar probably most likely. There you go.
Blake loves himself some playoff Kike, don't you, Blake?
I mean,
that's
another discussion too.
Next question.
Blake was ready to throw him off the roster.
Throw him in the trash can. I think most people were.
Gets this chat. That's kind of where it's at. The Teoscar stuff is interesting. That's why we take 30 plus minutes to talk about it, because it creates other opportunities on here. It brings up the same conversation. The Dodgers are willing to move on from some of these big clubhouse guys. They're not going to get bullied into a contract that doesn't make sense to them. Opportunistic. Yeah. Beta backtrack.
That's right.
Classic, buddy.
That's my name, buddy.
We get one take. We get one take out here, and then people never let you hear the end of it. So you just hammer stuff into the ground. It's all good. As long as you come out and speak your piece, it's all good. Kike's
true. Scott is still an Astros fan on this show. I'm a Boston fan.
Crazy, man.
Matt is Matt picked the Padres, so he's a Padres fan now. I think Jeff is our only person who is consistently Dodgers.
Apparently, the Padres are getting Roki Sasaki. I guess I'm not online enough to know, but like I saw one of the comments saying that Preller mentioned Sasaki at the funeral of Peter Seidler.
Yeah, he did.
That happened.
A little weird, but yeah,
that's insane, dude. What?
Blake's gaslighting. I'm not an Astros fan. Just because I said I wanted Carlos Correa because he fit a need, there's smoke out there about it. And there's still smoke about it if he's available on the trade market. It's all chat and you can relax. It's about plugging and playing. Relax, lay off. All right. Shout out to everybody tuning in. Welcome in. DodgerHeads, Blue Wire, or not Blue Wire Sports Network, Medium Large Sports Network. Thanks for tuning in. We're here with Ryan Burschinger and Beau Benson on the Sick Podcast. This is Dodger Zone. Dodger Zone.
That's right.
Along with Monty Bolaños. Monty Bolaños is the third member.
Yeah, she's awesome. You got a good staff over there. So this is the next thing. We're talking Nolan Arenado. And I honestly can't still believe we're talking about it, but stuff, recently this past week about a trade that almost got done with the Houston Astros. Nolan Arenado invokes his no trade clause, says no. But the interesting part is that the Astros were willing to cover up to $59 million of Arenado's $74 million remaining on that contract. So if Arenado's kind of holding out for something, because he's not playing, doesn't want to play in St. Louis. He's holding out for Los Angeles. He's holding out for Los Angeles, Blake. Is that what he's doing?
It seems like it. It seems like the current rumors are until he hears like an absolute no from the Dodgers that he's going to keep trying to come to the Dodgers. A lot of questions about his fit and him as a player specifically. I think the only way I could even slightly be talked into it is if you're like sending back Chris Taylor and getting Ryan Hesley in the deal or something like that, where the Cardinals are giving the Dodgers value back. Because at this point, like Nolan Arenado is not a positive asset to trade for with his contract and skill set at this age and this point in time. The Cardinals are trying to give him away. He's not going to get you back top prospects or probably not even quality prospects back in a deal. And the Dodgers have Max Muncy at third base. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Dodgers are going to play Max Muncy at second base. I don't think they're going to play him in left field, even though he played there for like 10 innings in 2018. Just doesn't make sense. He's not playing at second base without the platoon more specific, or the shift more specifically. Like, if you want to platoon Muncy and Arenado at third base, that makes sense. But you're not paying Arenado 30 to 60 million, whatever the Cardinals end up eating, to be a platoon guy at third base. He also has deferred money until I think 2040. So, like, you're going to be stuck with that contract for quite a while. Mm-hmm. I just don't really see a fit there, unless it's like a complete panic move and the Dodgers say, like, we're trading Lux and putting Muncy at second and just seeing how it goes and then fixing it later. But I just really don't see it happening at all.
Yeah. Damn, Blake. Damn. All right.
No,
the whole segment. That's it. The whole thing right there.
Jeez.
Time to move on.
Airs it out. Nothing. You don't find, Ryan, I know this is why I'm going to toss this right to you here. Mm-hmm. Blake, you don't believe there is any positive part of bringing Nolan Arenado in. Don't push me one way or another, Chad. Don't you do this. I'm purely just asking. There is nothing you're seeing that would be a positive of Nolan Arenado joining the Dodgers.
Be cool. Be a cool jersey to have. Like, Arenado's been a really good player for a long time. I mean,
that's right.
It'd be fun. He's a cool dude. But other than that, like, it doesn't make sense for the current team.
It's a lot of money left over. $74 million is a hell of a lot of money to absorb through a trade at a position that feels like a luxury. Ryan, talk to us, man, because there's some chat. I see Klein in here. He's talking to us that he sees positives with Nolan Arenado. I would like, if you've got some in the tank, air them out, man.
Okay, you know what? I will take the side of Nolan Arenado. Blake, sure, you've laid out very logical reasons, a lot of them. But here's my counter. Yes, obviously, his production has declined. If you look at his numbers last year, they weren't that great. If you look at the advanced metrics, they're actually worse. He does not hit the ball very hard. At least he didn't last year. But I'm going to believe in the man, okay? I'm going to buy into the talent for a couple reasons. Yes, he's 33, sure, on the downward slope of his career, but can still play third very well. Is only a couple of years removed from having a very long tenure as the best third baseman in baseball. But the biggest reason, by far, is the fact that the man, for his entire life, has wanted to play for the Los Angeles Dodgers, it seems like. He has been wooing and pursuing the Dodgers since he was in Colorado. And yes, his decline is only 1 year. And I fully believe if you bring in Nolan Arenado to the place that he has pined for his entire career, and you give him a team that has Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and this incredibly loaded lineup, and he gets to play third base at Dodger Stadium every day with this incredible roster, those numbers will go back up. I fully believe that. I believe the actual mystique of playing for the Dodgers is something that could reinvigorate this incredibly talented third baseman. And yeah, Max Muncy, not a great second baseman, but we'll figure it out. Let's have him play second for a bit. Obviously, they've been rolling out the red carpet for him by saying, hey, Mookie's going to play short. He's not going to play second. He's going to play shortstop. So that means we can move Max to second, and Nolan, you can come in and play third base. And that's totally fine. And if they platoon here and there, yeah, so what? Sure, he's going to get paid till 2040, but what Dodger isn't at this point? And that's going to be pennies on the dollar then. That's fine. Go right ahead. So yeah, I'm going to buy into the person of Nolan Arenado, the man who wants to be a Dodger, the man who was on a Hall of Fame trajectory for much of his career. Let's bring him in. Let's add him to the middle of this lineup. I fully believe that it would be the exact sort of scenario that would bring his career back up. I'm not saying, 330 and 40 home runs or whatever, but like 270, 20 to 25 home runs. That's great with stellar defensive third base. Like, yeah, you take that. So I will be on the side of Nolan Arenado here.
I think,
Blake, does this have you ready to run through a brick wall?
I think my concern would be you're looking at the middle of the Dodgers defense there with Mookie at shortstop and Muncy at second base. Like,
yeah,
I don't think I can get on board with that, even if Arenado has a rebound. I'd also point out that Arenado has been declining for 2 years now. It's not just one. Max
Yeah, because he doesn't want to be in St. Louis, man. Come on.
Yeah.
But that doesn't affect your hard hit rate and stuff like that, or your batted ball profile.
Does it make you think any different? Does it make you think of any different of Luis Robert? He doesn't want playing with the White Sox. Is that why he's been bad?
Probably.
I think that's more related to injury. But
why can't we just put Muncy at shortstop?
There we go.
Let's keep Mookie right. Let's be real. Let's stay right, Mookie.
my only thought on the scenario is I've seen a few people in the chat say that Brandon Gomes said that Max Muncy is our third baseman. And I would like to remind everybody that D. Gordon is our second baseman.
Never forget that, man.
Yeah. Everything these guys say right now is complete BS. Max Muncy very well will probably be the third baseman on opening day. But there's no reason to believe Brandon Gomes saying that right now. None whatsoever. If they can get the Cardinals to pay 75% of Arenado's contract and they think that they can fix something in his swing and get him to perform well for the next couple of years, they might do that deal, especially if the market dries up and they feel like they need to. But I think right now, there's just no spot for him.
Blake?
I think it really comes down to how comfortable they'd be with Muncy at second base, or even just moving Muncy into like a pure platoon role. Like, Muncy could make sense playing some first base too, but Freddie Freeman's going to fight Dave Roberts if he tries to sit him for more than one game a season. So like that doesn't even make full sense. Yeah. And if Muncy can't handle second base, then like what do you end up doing with Arenado and Muncy on the same team? You can't DH either of them because then you're losing Shohei. Like,
just put Ohtani in the outfield.
I am a full believer if Ohtani played the outfield, he would be
absolutely
good. He 100% loved that idea. He's loved that idea for quite some time.
But they're going to give him the chance to pitch this year, and until he can't pitch anymore, we'll see how long that lasts fully. But like, it's such a hard fit to actually put Nolan Arenado on the roster, even if you believe he's going to bounce back, unless you're getting rid of Muncy. And I don't think you can really bet on a bounce back and give away a good player like Muncy when you're like betting on Nolan Arenado to come back instead of being confident he can perform.
Yeah, if Arenado wanted to be a Dodger, the time was 2 years ago when he could have opted out, and he chose not to. So that's really the end of the story there for poor Nolan.
Blake, anything to the Dodgers exploring a deal like that where they can package him and Ryan Helsley? Because that's an attractive option there. That attacks a need as far as a back-end relief option there. And then Nolan Arenado, because he just feels like being a Los Angeles Dodger.
I mean, if you were just like basically buying Ryan Helsley and you were giving them like Chris Taylor and Gavin Lux back in the deal, I could be talked into that more so. If you're just trading for Arenado straight up, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. If you have Arenado as like a backup / platoon with Muncy, who moves into slight utility role for the cost of getting Ryan Helsley instead of giving Tanner Scott $60 million over 4 years, like I could buy into that one. I just don't think the Cardinals would necessarily be willing to do that. And it still just creates a lot of holes on your roster, like, or not holes, but like question marks around your team of who plays where, what happens. I know things tend to figure themselves out with the Dodgers with injuries and all that, but Muncy and Arenado aren't necessarily versatile players, and at least at positions that the Dodgers don't already have filled more or less. So it's just really hard. Like, if you told me Muncy could play an acceptable outfield or Arenado could play an acceptable middle infield or outfield, like, then I'm more for it. It's just they both pretty much exclusively play third base, and I think Muncy's the better player right now. So it's hard to fit them both on the team.
Damn.
How far down is the bar for outfield from Teoscar Hernandez to Max Muncy, Blake? Lay it out for me. How many miles?
It's probably a good bit, and that's saying a lot because I don't think
crazy.
a good
That's
outfield,
crazy, bro.
But like
That's what I'm saying.
This is also the team that had Howie Kendrick play left field for an entire year. Like,
Kendrick was a dog, man. Put some respect on Howie Kendrick, man.
if they told Max Muncy, like, you're playing second base and left field, and they got him in better shape and increased his training and stuff, like, maybe he could be passable, but you're still betting on a lot there. I just don't necessarily think that's going to happen, especially if you bring, like, Teoscar back and have Conforto out there. Like, that's a really bad defensive team all around, especially for a team that more or less relies on their pitching staff. Like, they have a lot of really good starting pitchers. I'm not sure they'd love playing with the defense that is not going to make many plays for them.
Yeah. Just going to say, people brought it up. I know I'm not advocating for Nolan Arenado to be a Dodger, but the hate on him is pretty surprising. It is. It's pretty surprising here. But 300 says I'd be more comfortable with Nolan Arenado at second than Max Muncy. Without the shift, there's a lot. I mean, Nolan Arenado can glove it with the best of them still. I believe that flat out. So, I mean, yeah, that says a whole lot without the shift restrictions now.
I do kind of agree with that sentiment there. And I feel like Arenado is probably capable enough to learn that position fairly quickly and well, but I just don't think they're going to do it. Like, Gavin Lux is a good defender at second base. I don't think middle infield of Mookie Betts and Max Muncy or Nolan Arenado is something you want to go into a season with.
Got you. Yeah, I mean, this all just falls in line with what I said. Like, the Dodgers don't hit on Teoscar Hernandez. That money, look at the same type of stuff. The Astros are willing to go cover, what did I say? How much was this?
Like 20 million, I think you said. Something around
there.
They
were willing to cover $45 million of Nolan Arenado's deal. So if you're not willing to just go out and get a deal done with Teoscar Hernandez, I don't see them going out and handing that money to go cover some Nolan Arenado's contract. I just don't. So that's where that all falls in line. If you guys followed the trend, that's where it was at. So Dodgers don't hit on Teoscar Hernandez. Don't see him going to get Nolan Arenado. That's just how it is. Get Teoscar done. Move on. Profit. Any final thoughts with Nolan Arenado? You guys really want that? Ryan, do you really want that, man?
I'm kind of toying with the idea of if you turned him into a utility infielder, like that's kind of hilarious. Like, but honestly, not insane, I guess. And it would be something that very much the 2025 Dodgers would do. It would just the embarrassment of riches is, oh, by the way, now Nolan Arenado can play anywhere in the infield, and he's just kind of, you plug him in wherever you want. That would be wild. I don't know if that's realistic, but I would like to live in that universe. Let's make it happen.
This is the next one. Super chat here from Zenji. Thank you so much for this one, man. Thanks for the super chat there. Robertson, the scouts really liked Hai-Song Kim last offseason. Any chance we sign him? He could play outfield, he could steal and play shortstop. So Blake, speak to this here. Do you know anything about him, or is this someone they're just, keeping tabs on? They can pivot to, go from there. Do you have anything to speak on Kim?
Yeah, he's coming over from the KBO. I believe he's going into his age 26 season, or he might.
Mm-hmm.
He turns 26 on January 27th. So yeah, he's a left-handed bat, so might be a tough sell for the Dodgers already, unless they're moving Gavin Lux. But he's a very high contact, high on base type player. Not a whole lot of power. I think he topped out around like 11 home runs in his career in the KBO. Yeah. So they're going to expect some power regression there already. So like in the majors, you're probably looking at like a 5-homer player who's going to hit around 280 maybe with a 330-ish on base percentage. Like, yeah, he's really similar to Gavin Lux, and I don't think the Dodgers are necessarily going to be in on that, especially with Mookie as their shortstop.
I refuse to believe that is a thing that's actually going to happen again. Is Mookie at shortstop? I can't.
We can bring you back on for you and me to get go into just an echo chamber of our own thoughts.
Can't
with Mookie
do that.
Betts at shortstop. We could do that.
There's no way, man. There's no way they're going to try that again.
I mean, they are. Better believe it. I said early on last year that I was on Dodgers territory, and I was saying, it was highlighting how bad it was, because Mookie Betts, creature of habit, he's going to put him nose to the stone and really work at something. And it started to regress a part of his offensive game, and it bugged me. Like, Gavin Lux not being able to play shortstop bugged the hell out of me. That was a move that it just threw a whole wrench in the entire groove you had going. Mookie Betts was on a trajectory to win another MVP. The rest is history there. So to start that experiment again, it's not going to be an experiment. It's going to be the plan. Barring anything else, Mookie Betts is going to take the entire offseason to line it up at shortstop. I believe he has what it takes there. But I would love for them to have another option. If it was Tommy Edman playing the everyday shortstop, cool. But I just truly felt that Mookie Betts, the second baseman, sounds better. I think that's the better plan for the rest of his career, unless he's playing right field, however that shakes out. It's just that somebody exists by the name of Gavin Lux, and that's what's happening. So he's going to be at second base, barring a trade or anything else there. So
yeah, I mean, and we all know that if they were close to getting Devin Williams, that Gavin Lux was going to Milwaukee, right? Like, that's just agreed upon. So like, I wouldn't feel very comfortable if I was Gavin Lux. I would have a feeling that second base might be open for Mookie Betts by the time the season rolls around.
So yeah, I did report the other day that Gavin Lux was involved in the discussions for Devin Williams, and then it came out that Devin Williams thought he was going to be a Dodger, and they were telling him it was closed. And then I believe the other day, David Vassay on AM 570 said Gavin Lux still isn't necessarily safe on this roster, so maybe that is playing to the Nolan Arenado stuff. Maybe they're willing to try him or Muncy at second base, or Arenado has said he'd play shortstop, which I think I'd be less confident in that than with Mookie there. But, like, I don't know. Maybe they're willing to try it and see how it goes and then address it later. You have Miguel Rojas as a backup option, worst case scenario. You have Tommy Edman as a potential option there. So I don't think it's going to happen, but, like, it could, I guess. Like, slightly, maybe potentially 5% odds.
Go ahead, BB.
I was super on board with bringing back Cody to play center and just sticking Tommy at shortstop. I thought that would have been fine to do. Obviously, the Yankees wanted that more, so poo-poo on me, I guess. But
yeah, Blake, credit to you for getting a little bit a scoop on that. When you did and bringing that to our attention there. So I think that I'm not going to ask you percentage-wise stuff like that with Gavin Lux, but it's something to note. I mean, we even see it. Like, Gavin Lux had big hits. We understand that. And I know a lot of people bring that up that, everybody talking about trading Gavin Lux. No, it's about maximizing every position you can. And again, the word we bring up, opportunistic. It's being opportunistic about the roster. And can you upgrade on a thing? Because at the root of it, I truly believe that Mookie Betts is going to be the second baseman going forward once they figure that out. I think that with shortstop, it's that for the now, Gavin Lux is at second base, and Mookie Betts is going to do everything he can to learn shortstop and all the nuances that come with it, because it's a lot. So I think for the now, that's what it's going to be. And Ryan, you can take over from here with second base. Do you kind of co-sign the fact, that Gavin Lux has been rumored in those trade talks here? That's not the long-term plan. Do you see Mookie Betts sliding back to second and they try to figure out shortstop?
I hope that that's what happens, because I think we saw that Mookie seemed more comfortable when he was at second. I mean, obviously he's a freak athlete and he can play wherever he wants. But it just felt better to have him at second and then have somebody who's a more natural short. Ideally, I'd like Tommy Edman to actually be the full-time shortstop and then find a way to fill in center field instead.
Yeah.
And I do wonder, this is just spitballing here, but is there a possibility, and Blake, maybe you can answer this, is there a possibility that Gavin Lux still ends up in Milwaukee? Like, is there a way that like a Christian Yelich gets moved and that sort of like contract movement, requires somebody like Gavin Lux being in a deal like that?
I think if Lux was still to go there, it would probably be for some prospects who aren't on the 40-man roster, just because Milwaukee does need to add a middle infielder. They added Caleb Durbin, but he can also play every other position too. So it's not like set that they're going to have Durbin at one of the infield spots necessarily, but he does give them another option. So I think the ship is more or less sailed on Lux going to Milwaukee for the time being. But I don't think it would happen for any like major player on the team. But it could happen for like a prospect or two, that just for the Dodgers to essentially clear a 40-man space, because they're at 39 players right now. And we're talking about they still want to add a reliever. They still want to add a starting pitcher. They still want to add an outfielder. Like, you're going to have to create some 40-man spots here soon. Mm-hmm. I also reported Hunter Fiducia was part of their trade talks. That would have cleared a 40-man spot. So I'd be pretty surprised if Fiducia isn't traded at some point this offseason. They already have 4 catchers on their 40-man, but
yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these more fringe type players end up getting traded here. And I would throw Lux into that a little more than like a starter that's locked into a spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you brought up there. You know, guys, chat, thanks for tuning in again. These are the conversations that not a lot of people like to have, where it comes from, you know, making a decision where, yes, Lux won a World Series here, had a big hit there late in the game for the clincher. And we understand, but it's about being opportunistic and upgrading around the roster, looking at his contract, looking at where he's at in his current career, and looking at a player like Mookie Betts, who's better suited to play second base. And Gavin Lux is a platoon second baseman who, you know, has issues with throwing, playing shortstop, the position that he got brought up through to play. So unless Gavin Lux dramatically turns around his ability to hit lefties, he is a platoon guy who can only play second base for the moment. And that's not very valuable on a roster where they covet versatility. And that's where a player like Kike Hernandez can come in, and you're saying, I'd be much more comfortable having a player like Kike Hernandez on the roster than Gavin Lux. And that's just flat out how it is. So it's of note that Gavin Lux was included, you know, reportedly included in these trade talks here. But we're going to piggyback off what Blake said, and I like this. Can never have too much starting pitching. Should the Dodgers add another starting pitcher? Who wants to go first? I want BB to lead this one off.
Ooh.
Should the Dodgers add another starting pitcher, man?
Do we feel comfortable still?
We're keeping Roki out of this because he's like,
that's what I was going to say.
Yes.
Yeah. If they're going to add Roki Sasaki, then probably not. But since the market looks like it's depressed after Fried, well, not depressed, but you know, kind of calmed down since Fried signed with the Yankees, and you get those reports about Corbin Burns being open to a shorter deal with higher value, which is like ringing the bell for Andrew Friedman. Maybe I would say yes. You can never have enough starting pitching. If you can add a talent like Corbin Burns and not lock yourself into a long-term deal, why the hell not? No reason not to.
Blake, do you have any diamond in the rough guys here that you've thought about? Because I don't think Walker Buehler is going to be out of our mouth. I don't think it's going to be Jack Flaherty.
I've said how much I like Nick Pivetta. I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's 2 scenarios where the Dodgers go here. I think they're either going to add someone like Corbin Burns on a high AAV short-term deal, an impact type pitcher like that, or make a trade maybe for an impact type starting pitcher like that. Or they're going to sign like a 1-year prove it type deal, like the Tyler Anderson, Noah Syndergaard, James Paxton type back end starter filler type pieces. I don't think they're going to be in the more middle tier market of starting pitchers like the Nick Pivettas, the Walker Buehlers, the Jack Flahertys. You're essentially adding them to be your 7th or 8th pitcher at this point. Mm-hmm. And I think other teams are going to value those types of pitchers more to go pitch for them. I would love Jack Flaherty back. I think he's pretty undervalued, and I think he should be the number one starting pitcher if the Dodgers were bringing back one of their own guys instead of Walker Buehler. I think that's kind of the unfavorable take there, but I think he's the best option there. But I feel like another team is going to be willing to pay him more than the Dodgers would be. So I really think it's going to be like a high-end impact type starter on a short-term deal or a one-year rental / prove-it type deal. And I'm not sure who they're going to target out of that type of range. There's probably a few names they have in mind. Like I like Griffin Canning, but he just signed, I think it was with the Mets for 1 year, $4 million. That probably would have been something they might have liked. He had some intriguing traits there, but that type of thing rather than a 3 or 4 year deal worth 20 something million a year for someone like Buehler, Pivetta, Flaherty type.
Yeah. Ryan, you got anybody in mind, man?
I think they should continue to add starting pitching because I think they should start the season with like as many starting pitchers as possible. They could have 10 starting pitchers on the roster. I don't care. I mean, every year we see them start the season with a surplus of starting pitching, and then they're in a deficit by the end of April. And obviously we just had a postseason in which just how many starting pitchers they had was in question as they went into every single series. So, I think the Dodgers should start the season with the 6-man rotation, regardless of whether or not Ohtani's in it. That's 100% my idea. And if they do it, it's because it was my idea and not because they've said that they're doing it. Don't tell anyone otherwise. This was entirely my idea. But that way they will, be able to give everybody extended rest. It won't be a shock to the rotation once Ohtani's in it. But that also would include like both Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin, who both need to be eased back into things. I don't know what kind of contract it would be like, but I find Cal Quantrill kind of interesting. But I don't know if that's the same sort of. I know that, as Blake was saying, it makes sense that they're going to end up. They're going to make a James Paxton kind of signing because they do every season, and they work half the time. And when they work incredibly well, it's fantastic. And if it doesn't work, who cares? Whatever, it's fine. But I think that they should absolutely continue to add. Again, Sasaki ideally is there, but even with Sasaki, I think I would love for Walker Buehler to be back. I know that the contract wouldn't make sense for them, and I know it would give them so many starting pitchers with contracts of actual every 5th day starting pitchers. But whatever, it just load up on the starters. Go for it. Bring back Walker. Why not?
Walker Buehler will be back in about 10 years on Sportsnet LA, doing probably pregame and postgame.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Once all the sides he's done. Yeah, that's possible too.
Yeah.
But someone is going to pay him, and he deserves it. As we were talking earlier, free agency players deserve to get as much money as they can get. And I wish him the best. But he's one of those guys that's always going to be a Dodger for life. Doesn't matter what jersey he wears next, but he'll be back eventually.
Yeah, with the 6-man rotation stuff definitely makes this interesting. It really does. And a name that we can't forget about is Clayton Kershaw, and that's when he's going to return to the team, when that's going to be the case. But a name that I have had my eye on for a bit was Matt Boyd. He got scooped up. He got a multi-year deal. Happy for him there. But I would love the Dodgers to bring in Jose Quintana. I know he's projected to get some 2-year deals there. I would really love for the Dodgers to bring in Jose Quintana. Lefty, had a terrific year last year with the New York Mets. Just interesting stuff. Just a guy that can come in, get you some innings. Had a 3.75 ERA last year, made 31 starts, went out there and just pitched some playoff games, competed. I would love for the Dodgers to go out and sign Jose Quintana. He's going to give you some quality stuff there. He could do the thing. So that's the name I'm going to toss out. If they can overpay for him just a little bit to bring him on a 1 year, kind of pull him in. He's 35. He'll be 36 when the season kicks off. That's kind of where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be looking that like high end per se. I think it's really going to be like a flyer type, and I'm sure some team's going to pay Quintana. So I just don't really see that happening. But
that's fine.
They're going to keep looking for starting pitchers, and that's even with like Roki being an option they want, and Kershaw like is a guarantee to come back. But they're going to keep exploring options and try and figure things out.
I got visions in my head when I saw the story about Burns being willing to take a shorter deal, and then remembering that like I don't think that the hats were even on the guys on the field to celebrate the World Series title before Burns was retweeting and quote tweeting the post celebrating the Dodgers winning the World Series title. That would be so sick. That would just be so sick. Can you imagine that? Let's just all take a minute and imagine the rotation with Corbin Burns and Tyler Glass now and Ohtani and Yamamoto and maybe another Japanese guy. Sheesh.
Fun to think about it. All right, guys, chat. This is the time we're going to have everybody start loading up those questions there. Toss them in. We'll get to them. Guide this however you'd like. Get these guys, Ryan and BB, see if they can answer any of your questions here. Tim, we'll kick it off with there. He says,
wait, real quick.
He
has to go. Eden has to go soon, so we're doing this one first.
Go ahead. You're up.
But yeah, is there any solution to catcher fatigue in the second half? Yeah, the Dodgers have a top prospect coming up by the name of Dalton Rushing, who is a catcher, and they do want to keep a catcher, even though they're increasing his versatility to also play the outfield. He's going to do a lot of catching as well, so I think we could see more of a platoon type thing with them, with Will Smith and Dalton Rushing both splitting time catching, and maybe on days where Will Smith isn't where Dalton Rushing isn't catching, he moves to the outfield to play a game or something while Will Smith is starting, and then moves back to catch while Smith is getting a day off, or maybe Smith works in some more versatility at some position. He tried playing third base in the past on very short notice, didn't go too well, but they could kind of keep mixing guys around and increasing versatility there and do something similar.
Right on. All right, Tim. Thanks for this one here. Eden, good to see you tonight. We'll see you later, bro. Should we be in on Kyle Tucker when he enters free agency next offseason? He says Conforto could be one and done. I agree with that. I see Conforto as being a one and done guy with the Dodgers. BB, take this one here. How high would Kyle Tucker be on that free agent for you?
I mean, yes. The answer is yes. They absolutely should be. I don't think Kyle Tucker is going to be a free agent. I don't think the Chicago Cubs traded for Kyle Tucker to let him go after 1 year. I don't. He may want to test the market, but I see the Cubs just blowing him away the minute he gets there. But if he does somehow get to free agency and he's taking meetings, yes, 100%. Yeah, they should be.
That number for him might start with a 5.
That is so. We were talking about that around the office this week. Our good friend Rob Parker, baseball genius. Juan Soto is absolutely the last like $765 million guy, right? Like you're not, Kyle. It's not like going to be like football where like, oh, Patrick Mahomes made this, so now Joe Burrow has to make this because this is Mahomes' number. Like you cannot pay Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, I agree. You're not going to say, well, Juan Soto got this, and then no. Those are like outlier contracts.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's a different type of thing.
I don't know. Kyle Tucker, I think, is probably a top 10 player in baseball. And
he is absolutely.
There on the market at 28. Like he could make that case. I think it might end up starting with a 6.
Wow. What are we doing here? What are we doing?
And I'd also say I think the Dodgers will be in on it.
Yeah, damn right they will. They'll be right there. Ryan, you think so? Say 5 or a 6 in 100 millions for Kyle Tucker.
Oh man, I think 5. I think because to Beau's point, I don't see anybody getting close to Soto money for a long time because there's nobody hitting free agency that's getting Ted Williams comparisons. Like, I mean, Kyle Tucker is a fantastic player, and I would fully expect the Dodgers to be in on him if he does hit free agency. I agree with Beau. I don't see the Cubs letting them do that. Paredes was a really nice piece that they gave up in that deal, and they gave up a lot for him. Obviously, we look at the Soto situation with the Yankees and be like, well, the Yankees gave up a lot, and it made sense for them to retain him, but they got outbid. They didn't not try. With Tucker, though, it makes sense that the Cubs made that move with the intention to lock him down for the rest of his career. He is a phenomenal player, and if he's available, that'd be a great fit for the Dodgers. But I don't expect him to be available.
Gotcha. All right.
Real quick, I don't think Tucker signs a deal without testing free agency.
I think he is free agency.
He's going to be too valuable.
I think I'm with Blake. I think that Kyle Tucker will 100% test the free agent market. If the Cubs pull that off, it's a miracle. And hats off to the front office in Chicago. But I think he checks out the free agent market and just lets the bidding start. How do you not? How do you
No, I mean,
No,
that makes sense. It makes sense, but I have to believe that the Cubs did not trade for him to let him walk. You're the Chicago Cubs, for God's sake. Have some respect for yourselves.
I don't think they're going to want to let him walk,
Yeah.
but it's gonna take two sides. Like Tucker has to be willing to sign.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They
him.
have to be willing to sign him to that contract if they're trading for him. They have to.
But
If
what's
they're
that
just
contract
renting
gonna
him,
be?
yeah.
Like if you're Kyle Tucker saying I could sit the one more year and then I have the Red Sox, maybe the Yankees, the Cubs, the Dodgers, all bidding for my services, that could push it up to that 600 plus million range for how good he is.
I mean, and
At
well,
28
the
years
Cubs,
old as a free agent.
Cubs obviously traded for him after Soto signed, right? So like they've got to know the ballpark. I can't see them doing that deal if they're not comfortable getting to that number.
Yeah. Let's see. I want Ryan to answer this one here because this one's too easy for me. Philip just tosses this one. How do we not trade for a shortstop with all the talent the Dodgers have in the farm? Put Mookie at second base. How do they not do that?
I mean, I agree. I think that Mookie should be at second. I think that Tommy Edman would be a great answer for shortstop, and then maybe look to address center field. But if you could,
it's right there. The option's right there. Yeah.
If you could trade for an elite shortstop to instead, like I'm totally down with that. So yeah,
there's a team that's going to be on the market for sale that has a shortstop on a long deal that the new ownership may not want. So Carlos Correa, come on down, baby.
Yeah,
come to LA, bud.
Yeah,
don't do this. This is too easy for Blake.
It's time to sign with the Dodgers, Carlos Correa.
I think the main issue here is that there's not really a shortstop available for trade that's actually a specific upgrade from what the Dodgers have. Like Bo Bichette, maybe, but I know me and Scott both don't think he's all that good.
Yeah, those rumors started floating tonight, and no thank you.
Correa has a lot of injury history. Like, I don't think the Dodgers front office also wants to bring him in with how the fan base feels about him. Most of the good shortstops are either signed to a long-term deal already, or they're like Gunnar Henderson, where the team isn't trading him. So
you don't know that.
Hey, they need Jackson to play short. Okay, they got to free it up.
DM and I are locked in on this. I talked about this like a month ago when we were talking about. I said the biggest thing for Willy Adames was about how far do the Dodgers just continue to kick the can? Do they continue to kick the can there? And that's what they're doing. They're just mixing and matching, filling right there. But your option with Tommy Edman's right there. If they want to go, just default to it. If things go really sideways, so Mookie Betts at shortstop, and your option is right there, and you figure it out. But yes, they're going to kick the can. That's how it is. And when you have Miguel Rojas in the wings who can play shortstop to a point, until he starts breaking down. He comes into spring training with some creaky legs every single year. Understandable. He's been doing this a long time. But you have options there. But yes, as far as like a controllable piece for the long term, you don't have a clear option there. You just don't.
Yeah.
Oh, well, one of their top prospects is Alex Freeland.
Yeah,
he's a shortstop, and he could
prospect
be there
until proven otherwise, Blake.
Yeah, I don't necessarily trust them with developing hitting prospects at this point right now, but he is a pretty valued prospect, and he could be part of their solution long term. So they
honestly,
could be thinking that.
Like kicking the can down the road, it's worked this far. Like whatever. Don't fix what's not broken, I guess.
And I credit the chat is bringing up a lot of names. There's a lot of really strong young shortstops across the league. Yes, as we mentioned, Gunnar Henderson, Ellie De La Cruz, CJ Abrams, guys like these. There's no way all of them get an extension from their teams. Like one of them could hit free agency at some point, or need to be traded by one of their franchises at some point. So hopefully, kind of one of those situations falls into the Dodgers' lap, and that'd be incredible.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. GI says, any interest in Kirby Yates for a bullpen piece? He's interesting. Hell of a year. This past year, I know he was really good. I just had his stuff pulled up here. Oh, I lost it. It's all good. Kirby Yates, I know he's someone that's interesting. I haven't looked too much into it. GI, like that's a guy who get like a 1 year, $7 million contract, pitch you at the back end. He can pitch anywhere. To devastating off speed stuff. Still could pitch at a very high level. So GI definitely someone I'll keep an eye on. But I think they're in the market for if Ryan Helsley, if that's a move they want to make there, they're going to continue to check in on Tanner Scott. But as far as like handing out that big contract, Blake and I just don't see them doing it until they actually pull that trigger. It's just not something the Dodgers have done since like Kenley Jansen, and that felt kind of like a unique situation,
I don't know. I think they're adding a reliever.
Big one. They're doing Tanner Blake. Okay, lay it out. Oh, you want another prediction?
I don't know if it's Tanner Scott, but I think they add an impact reliever before the offseason's over, whether it's Scott, Ryan Hesley, like we talked about earlier.
Somebody, yeah, man.
I guess Kirby Yates could technically qualify there, but I mean, with how close they were to getting Devin Williams and all the discussions about how they're also looking at Tanner Scott and there's mutual interest there, Dave Roberts told us before the offseason started, like adding another reliever was a priority for him. So I think they've been telling us like they're looking for an impact reliever. I think they kind of want to build a super bullpen. We saw how great it was in the playoffs and how they relied on their bullpen. So like, I think they're at the point where they're trying to just get an embarrassment of riches, and I think they want to go get an impact reliever.
I mean,
yeah, man. Until like, me, I'm all for it. I'm absolutely all for it. It fits the window that they've currently gotten here. Yeah, BB, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, no, Ken Rosenthal said that he expected the Dodgers to add Devin Williams or Tanner Scott like a week ago. So, I mean, as we started the show, like these insiders generally know things. They don't just make things up. The Ohtani money machine changes the calculus, I think, for this team in terms of what they're willing to spend money on. They have more access to more money to spend than probably anybody has ever had in baseball before. So if Tanner Scott is out there and they can sign him, I think they will. That would be an insane add to this bullpen. That's the one guy that struck fear into anybody's hearts going out there for the Padres.
Absolutely. Matty, man, what's up, bro? It's good to see you in here tonight. Way to make it in. Shout out to the 1500 across all social media. Thank you. Yeah, Tanner Scott, it would be that cherry on top piece. And the Dodgers are in a position where, yes, they are in a spot to add what I said the Padres did by trading for Tanner Scott, which was that cherry on top piece. You feel good with your roster. You feel comfortable where it's at, and you can lock down, that point of your team. Tanner Scott would be an ad where you set him and forget him. He can be your lethal weapon, Weapon X, wherever you want to put him. He's going to dominate. No better player to bring, no better guy to bring in than the pitcher who shuts down Shohei Ohtani, and lefty's better than anybody. Yeah. So it would be a hefty contract, but they've shown us the blueprint. Blake, is it about time the Dodgers front office and Dave Roberts are kind of giving us what, kind of their plan? They're telling us they're attacking these players. They're telling us what they're looking to add. And by all accounts, they're looking to plug each one of those spots. It's about time we start trusting that.
I mean, I think so. I think Dave Roberts was really honest about what he wants them to do and kind of laid out the plan for us. And they normally try and keep things close to their vest, but I feel like they're more in a mode where they know they're printing money. They can go do whatever they want, add whoever they want, and be in a good spot. And Dave Roberts said, like, I want a starting pitcher. They got him with Snell. He said, I want an outfielder. They've added Conforto. They're talking to Teoscar still. They made a play on Juan Soto. He said, I want Treinen back. They did that. And he said, I want another back-end reliever for the bullpen. They were close to getting Devin Williams, and they're reportedly very interested in Tanner Scott. So, I mean, I think we have to listen to what they're saying and all the reports about what's happening there and what they're trying to do. Yeah, I mean, I would be pretty surprised if they don't add a significant reliever at some point.
Yeah. Cole says, Tanner Scott, Anthony Bond, Alex Vesia going against lefty lineup. Sign me up. I think that's good for us, buddy. Blake, Ryan, Beau, I think that's good for us. Any final thoughts? Ryan, BB, send us home, man. We'll get us out of here.
Well, thank you guys for having us. This was awesome. We've been following your guys' work for a long time now. It's great to finally talk with you in person, Scott. I don't think I've ever actually talked to you face to face. This is great. You guys were both guests on Swing Shift back in the day. Yeah, Beau and I do the sick podcast, The Dodger Zone. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts. We do it along with Monty Bolaños. The three of us work at Fox Sports Radio. We have a good time. This was our first season doing the sick podcast, The Dodger Zone, and the Dodgers won the World Series. So,
So you're welcome, everybody.
Yeah.
One for one, man. W.
No, just echoing everything Ryan said. This is a blast.
Right on. Blake, final thoughts for us, man. How you feeling? So Blake Williams on December 19th says the Dodgers are re-signing Teo. They're going to sign Tanner Scott.
That's right.
He had some insider scoops on Gavin Lux going to Milwaukee. Blake, I'm trusting Blake Williams right now. Big Blake Williams. What has he done for me lately? Been right.
We've been cooking for the last year.
Huh?
We've cooked for the last year.
We've been cooking. You and I have been absolutely cooking all year. Matty Man, real quick here. He says you guys are doing God's work with almost no new news. Thanks for giving us our fix. Matty Man, that's where Blake and I, we get some good chatter in here. We bring Ryan, we bring BB on, and we just, chop it up. You have to talk about the hypotheticals. You have to talk about the roster building stuff. You have to talk about how different scenarios impact the next. And that's what we did tonight. So if you're just tuning in late, rewind this on the post, watch it all the way through here. Leave your comments down in the chat. Do us a favor, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Also do us a favor, tune into the Sick Podcast Network. They are the Dodger Zone. You guys do great work over there. So we'll include all of the links down there to follow them. We appreciate you, Ryan, Beau. Thank you so much. Chat, do us a favor, give us a hand to these two fine gentlemen. They do great work over there on the Dodger Zone. So thank you so much for joining us, everybody. As always, my name is Scott Geirman. This is Blake Williams. That's Ryan. This is BB. This DodgerHeads presented by DodgerBlue.com and the Medium Large Sports Network. We'll see you all soon. We're all good. Go Dodgers, baby.